Good afternoon, everybody. Want to welcome you to a special day. So one of my favorite agents that we have in the Market Center. So some great conversations, somebody who is wonderful to pick her brain because she does a fabulous job of networking in this industry, finding out different bits of information so she can pass that along to not just her clients, but her community. She is dedicated to, one, not just preserving, but creating things, building, and finding ways for others to be able to do things in her world and in their world. And it is truly a pleasure each day to sit down and have a conversation with none other than the powerhouse agent of India Whitlock. And thank you for taking time to speak with us today.
Oh, of course, you're welcome. This is great. This is cool, and it really actually happened on one of my good agent friend colleagues' birthday. As you guys may know, Sean Wilson passed away a couple weeks ago, and I know if he was here, that he would be sitting right there smiling and telling everybody to keep shining. So it just worked out perfectly, unfortunately, but fortunately. So I know right now from having he's smiling down and just like honored to be spiritually a part of the room.
To all the beautiful people in the world, let's make it good.
Good morning, beautiful people.
Absolutely. So we want to have a question and answer session today. And what we're going over is really two main things, right? So I talked about India being a builder, right? But not just a builder from the standpoint of building houses, but building things inside the community, which really makes you more of a developer, right? Mm-hmm. You're developing and cultivating different things for others. So I want to talk about that side, but then want to also talk about just the ability to network within this world and the opportunities that's allowed you to have as well. If you guys have questions or different inputs, you can throw it inside the chat. And then if there is an opportunity, then we can have some people come off mute here and there. But we really want to have this functional and informational. So whatever you need to get out of it, ask the questions because we want you guys to be engaged. All right? Can I hear okay?
And if they want to say something, I love hearing voices. I like the humanized situation. So Correct. If you allow it in your platform.
Well, let's try this again. Good morning, beautiful people.
Good morning.
All right. All right.
Morning.
Or good afternoon. There you go. There you go. All right, so let's start on this side. How long have you been in real estate?
I have been in real estate since 2005, but a lot of people think you have to be licensed to be in real estate. I've been licensed for about 10 years, but I've been in the whole world of real estate since 2005.
Okay, and what was your beginning like?
My beginning started with just buying and holding properties, and then having a net branch of a mortgage division. So that's kind of how I know the mortgage world and doing title settlements. Anything related to real estate, I was kind of driven by it. And I was driven by it because my grandmother, she passed away a couple years back, but she grew up in Cherry Hill. She, of course, during the times when, of course, a lot of things wasn't afforded to people, especially minorities. That she bought a bunch of rental properties. And I always saw how she, was able to scale her life through real estate. And the beauty of it, the story behind it is that she didn't know how to read, but she knew how to collect her money. She knew how to write a check. She knew how to write Ruth H. Brooks on that line when it was time for you to write a check. So I was always inspired by her because not only was she a businesswoman and she had her own cleaning company because that was, normal for people in those situations. She was a business owner, she owned real estate, and then she was always one that always gave to the community, whether it was a trash man where she gave a quarter to every time he collected the trash, but she wanted people to know, like, you mean something to me. So that's kind of how I kind of blossomed into this world for the most part.
Awesome, that's an awesome story. So now you're inside of the real estate world, and topic of today obviously being building and new development. How did you get into the new construction and new development? Or how'd you get into that side?
Okay, so I'm gonna just scroll back a little bit. Sometimes we fail into things, and I failed because I was in the industry, like I said, buying and selling, but I also was buying, holding, and I lost too. And there might be some investors either on this call may purchase some properties, just wanted to own real estate. That's all we hear, just want to own real estate. I just want to own a piece of the pie, but we really don't know how to scale in that industry, in that world. We don't know how to scale a deal. We don't know how to, see what the return is on a deal. We don't even know how to, see if the deal is good for us, but we just want to own a piece of real estate. So that was my failing forward. I bought some properties, trusted some people, bought it in areas where I didn't think they would come and steal the windows. So I had to figure out, like, can I afford this opportunity anymore? And I couldn't. So I lost some things, but then I became smarter. Became smarter through failure, through, really getting access to people who knew better than me and really changing my purpose from just owning properties to scaling to wealth. So that's kind of how it started in that world. So I owned some rental properties, then I started doing flips. And then with the flips, I just got tired of there not being enough inventory. So how do you create inventory? How do you go about, scaling inventory and getting it? You create the inventory. So I'm like, okay, I want to create the inventory. So my good friend Chase told me, why don't you get your builder's license? I don't know a lot of women that are builders. I didn't either. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, right? I'm like, I don't know how to build, but it's good to have people that say, but I'll teach you and I'll show you. And those are the people that like, and trust and love. So I'm like, okay, sure, I'll do it. And that's where I am here today. And then your idea gets bigger because you feel like, okay, a lot of people don't think that because you're a new constructor or flipping homes that you're not a developer. You are a developer. You're redeveloping ideas and you're, co-creating, you're doing things that will make sense in your world, in the whole real estate world. So don't ever think that because you're not building homes and brick homes from the ground up or buildings that you're not a developer. Every time you step in the realm of real estate, you are developing something. So don't let anybody ever take that idea from you. So I started just, going from the ground up. I started with my first build maybe a year and a half ago. And now I'm working on my second, get ready to go into my third, and get ready to go into my fourth. But it just started by like having those people know spaces. You don't have to know everything. But what you do need to know is the scaling of a real estate deal. Like I need a project manager. And you guys are in slinging real estate in the residential new construction world. You can grab those people in those areas. Like if you're at a new development and you see someone putting up drywall or electrician or a plumber, just ask for their number. They're not tied into one person. They're tied into opportunities, right? They're tied into good people. They're tied into money. So really reach out and say, hey, can I have your business card? You may not be able to do certain deals for me, but you can connect me with the right people. So even project managers, there's tons of project managers out there. You just got to search for them. Those are the people that's really going to help you, keep on track with time schedules for, whether it's, sketching out the property, excavation, the plans. All those are the people that know how to read plans for the most part. But then if you don't know certain things, you stretch yourself to know certain things. If you don't know, Google it. Because everybody on Google want to be certain superstars in certain areas and certain arenas, but Google it, especially if you don't know it. So I just pride myself on having a good team. And I have a good team of probably 3 people in each trade. Whether it's a project manager, whether it's a plumber, developer, framer. People need to realize just because I can frame a home that's already existed, I can't frame a new construction. Because some people just can't, their mind can't go past what's already there. But then some people, their minds can go past what's not there. So you got to find those people whose minds can go past there, like your plumber, electrician. Because not every plumber could do a new construction. Because that takes really genius talent to do something in that capacity. It takes genius talent to really know how to look for land or have that person that can really help you scale the land. See if it works. See if you need a water or sewer or anything ran to it. And if you do, and if you can't get it there, you got to pay for it. What is that cost going to be? How can I scale my deal to make money and still have this cost associated with bringing water and sewer to the property? So I don't want anybody to ever think that you got to know everything to be in construction. Just like when you started your business, you probably didn't know anything, but you went down to the state office building, you applied for a name, got a tax ID, and you was like, what do I do from here? And that's when you kind of start building your ideas and your vision around that. And again, like a family reunion or conversations that you have, you build a fence around the people that you know, like, and love, and you keep them in a fence that can really help you grow your development world. I know I didn't even get you another question.
Look, I know. We might even have a question there. So ask her one question, let her go for 20 minutes.
Right, I know, right.
Yeah. All right, so there's a lot to unpack, right? But let's kind of break down a few things. And we're going to tie it into the building, the development, and then the networking side. So I want to go back to that failing first, right? I love the fact that you said you failed forward. Mm-hmm. And you said it started with you having an investment property. What happened? How did you fail?
Oh, Because somebody said, and a lot of us do, you see people, I can get you a property, and all you see is I own something, right? But do you really own it? Because of course, there's a financial obligation to it, attached to it, as well as there is maybe some renovation component, everything attached to it, but you really don't know the property. You really don't, I'm gonna just grab something up. But then you don't look at wealth the way you should when you do just grab something up. Because for me, wealth is about how much sweat equity I have now, as well as how much initial equity I'll have in the future. So like when we look at deals and we take a loss leader approach, sometimes we might not get the instant equity now, but the equity will come over time. So that's kind of just, I lost because I just trusted people. I'm like, okay, you found me a deal, but then I'm in the deal. I don't know how to get out the deal. And then I don't know my circle around where the deal was landed. So if the deal is landed in the area where I know nothing about the area, I don't know anything about either the culture in the area, the rents, the taxes, all those things. And then I start adding these things up onto my bottom line. I'm like, this house isn't worth what I'm putting into it. And then if you're in certain areas, then certain things or people will come in and snatch it up, take all your assets away from you, you down to nothing but a shell. And I really was in that spot.
So here's what's interesting about that story, right? You said that you trusted the wrong people, but also I've heard you say that you can network in, you can find different people to go to. So how do you go from a place of, I just failed, I trusted the wrong person, but then go to the next person to get advice to have you go to your next step? How did that process work?
That just came with being in people. So I always say this, and I've been saying this to my team and myself. It's like, when you want more, you look up, right? I'm not looking back down at investors that are failing at a really high level. I'm looking up for the investors that are doing things at a high level. And I'm pushing myself to be in that conversation, even if it's only for 5 minutes. If they can only, a lot of investors or developers that are above, your reach at this time, they don't have time. They can only give you 5 seconds. And in that 5 seconds, I'm going to get everything I need to get out and cultivate and develop that opportunity. So then the next time I see them, they're going to give me 20 minutes. They're going to give me an hour. They might even give me 2 days. They probably want to be in my world. So it's just, for me, the relationship part of building out a development opportunity is so important. And you can't really look backwards. You got to look up, because the people that are up at the top, they have all the information. Now you got to figure out how to get there. You get there by jumping into their inboxes. You get there by, you see them at an event. You push yourself to the front of the line. You get that business card and you say, hey, remember me from this event? I know you have opportunities. Can you just, if you can't help me, put it back on them. I know you got somebody that can. So that, for me, that's kind of been key in my world, and that's why it's been beneficial for the people, not only in my world, but at my table. I hope that makes sense.
It makes complete sense to me.
I hope it makes sense.
I mean, in hearing that, you're not afraid to look up, but even talk about your failures with them to help you figure out, how do I take this next step? Mm-hmm. And so now that person is giving you little nuggets here and there. Mm-hmm. How are you using that? And then once you use the nuggets they gave you, how are you going back to them to get that 20 minutes to an hour next time? What are you bringing back to them to say that, hey, I took your advice and this happened? For me, it's the evidence. I have something tangible that I can deliver and just say, I did this. This is what I did. How can you help me scale this up? Or how can we be in relationship and partnership together? Because I had this opportunity. So for me, it was just about, because a lot of us are in the industry, but we want to be all these motivational speakers and these developers and put these labels behind us, but you don't have any evidence. So why should I go to you and say, hey, can you help me? But you see, social media make everything look like Christmas, right? Everything is a package. But then when you get deep into them, and I've seen it for myself, I've seen developers or so-called developers or people that want to be contractors will go and take maybe a mine or a friend of mine's videos and run through the house, take pictures, and then they post it on their page and make it seem like it's theirs. And then all their friends and family are saying, hey, this is my part, oh my God, I'm proud of you, bro. But really, bro, that's my development project.
And then when you get in the spaces with them and you see them doing development projects, you know more than them. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you messing the industry up. So it's just, it's just important that, we have the evidence. And if we don't have the evidence, don't fake it like you do. Connect with the people that do and let them draw you in so you can have more evidence or some level of partnership. Everything doesn't have to necessarily mean I got to do it by myself so I can feel like I'm Superwoman, Superman. You need to be in partnership with people that y'all can be Bonnie and Clyde together. Not just Bonnie, Clyde mixed in one, and then you out here running down the street the wrong way because you didn't deliver the product to somebody and clearly it's all wrong, it's all messed up. So I would just, it's big to partner with people that you know, like, and trust. You need a partner that's gonna put the sweat equity in, you're gonna need a partner that has the money. And normally the partner that has the money doesn't have a lot to say because they rely on you because you have the expertise. I wouldn't advise you to jump into a development deal, whether it's a renovation, new construction, or ground up by yourself. I know a lot of times we look at the profit margin, but really it's about the learning experience. I'd rather get a little now to get the experience than grab a lot now and I still didn't learn anything because I don't have anybody to help me leverage the opportunities. So really jump into bed with people that either it's a sweat equity relationship as well as a equity relationship, because that's where you have the highest return on investment as well as revenue sharing within the model that you have set. So
Actually, I love that idea of getting in partnerships with people because I think that relationship does go a long way, but then it also, everyone has sweat in the game. And now it's going to make a different outcome because we're all investing in this together, right? Now the investment level might be different, whether it's money or whether it's just sweat, but at the same time, we all have something to gain and something to lose if we don't work together. So I love that idea. Let's get granular or something.
Granular, I like to use that. You always use that, right?
So let's break down a new construction deal, right? So I'm a client. Or which side of it do you typically have? We can go from the development side. You see a piece of land. What goes through your mind to say that I want to develop in this area?
For me as a developer, especially as a developer who's just starting small scale, not one of those big developers, so I can't take a whole lot of risks. I like to scale in areas where the community is a place where I can see myself. I probably won't buy on a major road. Because for Brandon, who has probably $10 million, and India, who probably has 2 million, I'm not willing to take that. I'm not willing to take that loss. I'm not willing to take that loss. So I probably won't buy in those areas where it's a piece of land and I can build it, I can sell it because I'm not willing to take that loss. And I look at location, I look at the lay of the land. Is the elevation high? Is the elevation, is it hilly? Is it flat elevation? Is it in the panhandle, which is the back of a development?
And why is that relevant?
It's relevant because I'm looking at it from a space of maximizing equity and maximizing return. And I feel like I want the average buyer or someone that's going to purchase probably don't want to be in the back of the woods where they see apartments in the back, especially if they spend $500,000. I know for me, absolutely, I'd rather your house be behind me and me right there, and I can see your house, but I don't have to see Washington Post apartments. I don't know. And then the major street for me is sound. Back and forth. I don't care how many speakers you put in the house. It's still the ability of, I can still see the main road. Anything can happen on the main road. And then when I go to resell this, will it be worth that? Because, as agents, the things that you take in consideration when you're pricing and scaling your listing is location, if it's on a main road, if it's a lot of steps, if it's a backyard, if it's no deck, is it, in a panhandle, you take all those things in consideration. So as a developer, I take in consideration on the exit strategy for not only me, but for that buyer that's coming in. Because I'm looking at my product as when someone buys it, it's maybe a step-up buyer or maybe a for-life buyer, but I want them to have that level of equity where if they decided to sell it, it will be there. Why should I care? I care because it's about wealth building. It's not about, bait and switching people. So I think those components are key for me in developing in areas that are needed. You know, I probably won't develop and put a house in an area where there's a bunch of woods and not a level of good traffic. And, you know, somebody's all back in the woods, maybe they might feel like Freddy Krueger gonna come, I don't know. But, you know, in spaces that are beautiful, that's kind of, I mean, or spaces where I know that it was hard for me to get into as a minority woman. Like when I developed in Timonia, people were like, how did you get that? I got it because I had a dope team of people who had it, had the inventory, and I purchased it and I took a chance on it because I wanted to break a barrier so that somebody that doesn't look like me or look like me can get in Timonium, build a house, and feel good about it.
So let's use that location as an example. So great location we have in Timonium.
Mm-hmm.
It checks off as a place that you could see yourself living.
Mm-hmm.
What happens for you to break ground? What's the next step that goes into it? You found the perfect land, perfect location. What do we do next?
So the next step is really, so once you purchase the land, of course, it's clean. If it's not cleaned up, you gotta clean it off, of course. And then you put your, you know, construction entrance, you get a surveyor out there, you need someone to stake the property. Meaning, I know you guys have seen this where they put the silk fences up and they stake the property out based off of the excavation. So I'm scaling the property out and the excavator is gonna just come and dig through that maze. And that's how it starts. And then those fences go up, those pieces of wood come up, and then you do your groundwork, then you do your foundation work, then you do your soil treatment work, then you do, so a lot of times they have to lay rebar and all those other things for the structure of the property. And then once that probably takes about 2 weeks, depending upon how much, you know, the availability of people.
Now,
And then,
how often are you there during this 2 week time?
but the beauty of it, when you got a good team, you don't gotta be there every day because you don't even know what you're looking at every time anyway. Or I just see a hole. Okay, great. You know, it's because at the end of the day, once the foundation walls come up, that's it. You know, and then everybody's a good excavator, a good framer, a foundation layer, all those things, they know where it goes. So you don't have to be afraid of that. You don't have to sit at a project every day. You know, I have a project manager that will just come and say, hey, the property's up. And then the next week, I'm framing. So you don't have to be at that project every day. I try to check on my projects once a week because it feels good to see something being developed. And I just want to make sure certain things are right. Even if I don't know, I can ask. So you want to, okay, what else? Okay.
Keep going. Yeah, I mean,
and that's it. So once you do the groundwork, you know, it's framing. And then once the framing is done, it's a rehab.
now, in this process, you found the land, you purchased, you acquired, you started to develop on it. At what point are you now developing for a specific buyer? Or are you still just developing what you see your vision to be?
So this is the thing I'm gonna tell you guys, and I'm not big on pre-selling. I'm not big on pre-selling because you gotta know your bandwidth in this industry. Can you deal with the headache of Biden coming over, walking through the house, not supposed to be there, trying to tell me where the light fixture's supposed to go, or I want this, and taking our whole family to envision all of this stuff, and then you got all these ancillary things popping up because she wants this light fixture, she wants this tile, she wants this, she wants all of these things, and I'm running the side of a residential sales side, and I still got to deal with Vida's complaints, and she not happy, and so I'm not in the position now, out of complete transparency, that my development side is growing. However, I'm not in that position that I want to pre-sell because I don't want a headache. So you guys got to decide what levels of headache you want to take. Do you want to pre-sell to say I got it sold? Because sometimes equity-wise, it's not even worth it. Or do you want to wait? You want to give them a product based off of your vision, your design, or you know, I just don't pre-sell. I just don't pre-sell right now because you need a team to do that. You want the people to say what colors you want. You know, you guys know when you go to new construction sites, it's a process. And I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses and I know my level of tolerance. And that's just not my world right now.
All right, you know you.
I know
you. Know you.
Right.
All right, so now we're finishing off, we're at the rehab process, right? And now we got the final inspection going through. What's been the total time frame that it's taken for this project?
Okay, so my first project only took 6 months. This project is taking a year. And that's because COVID, inventory, supply and demand. It took me about 3 months to get windows, 3 months to get black windows. So, you know, when you're building, you can't pass any framing inspection unless you have windows. I didn't have any windows for 3 months. So I lost about probably $5,000 taken away from my bottom line, maybe 6, because I had no windows. So you can't do certain things without certain things. So I had so many delays with siding. You can't pass certain inspections if you don't have siding. It took about 5 to 6 weeks, 10 weeks. Cabinets took about 2 months. So that was the delays, material delays. And then what I thought my cost would be on this project, the way I scaled it off of a scenario of best case market, became the worst case market, because now my expenses are up by 30%. So what I would have paid for lumber, maybe $48,000, I probably paid $70,000 for lumber. And I only have a construction budget of $300,000. Just lumber cost me $70,000. It didn't include the electrical, plumbing, all the little miscellaneous things that's needed that are important in the development world. And then you want to make a funky fly house, right? That's gonna cost you money. A tub costs $1,000. A vanity might have cost me $1,400. So that's why it's important to have a passion in this, because you'll realize that the product that you're delivering means more than you having a gross net, because you know that this market isn't going to be short of inventory forever. So you know you put out a good product. So I might not capture, I might be down 30% in profit, but I'll get that 30% back because I probably have maybe 4 or 5 other people that will refer people once I put the house in the market because I deliver a good product.
So you mentioned something that really wanted to hit home on too, just in terms of the budget. So we go through this project that we just built in Simone, right? So we just walked through this together. In the very beginning, when you looked at it, how did you determine the budget and what you wanted to put? How did you go into just putting that structure together?
So I would say it's a lot of repeat information that I've gotten from other builders, and I just learned it. I realized you got to know what costs are associated with a bill. You just can't say, oh, I just need you to do everything, because you need to know what cost. You need to kind of have an estimate on what you think plumbing would cost in a house of that square footage and multiply that by 2 or 3. I'm saying 3 because of course costs are up by 30%. So if you know from your plumbing or rehab, he's charging you $3,000 per bathroom, you know, and you only got 2 bathrooms, and then you're building a 4,000 square foot house and you got 4 bathrooms, you know, that cost will probably be $2,500 plus a 30% increase or 40% increase. So that, just taking what I learned from my initial build and renovation and taking that spreadsheet and just maybe double and tripling it. I'd rather be over than short. You know, so I do it that way. And then whatever else I don't know, I reach out to other builder friends and say, hey, what do you think this cost for this new wood or foundation would cost? And another thing is you guys got to get a relationship with an 84 lumber. Because you don't have to know all this stuff. All you do is send them your plans, and then they'll tell you what the lumber is going to cost based off of the square footage and what you need and how many joists, how many trusses, how many beams, all that. So your lumber takeoff. They'll tell you what your lumber takeoff is going. You don't have to calculate that yourself. It's not your job to do that. And if it is, great. That's something you're going to do. Great, do it. I don't. I'm going to send you this. I'm going to know the cost of the planks, the wood, or whatever, and then that's just going to be circumvented into the total cost, and that's kind of gives me a lumber takeoff on what is it going to cost for me to put it up.
Very good.
Makes sense?
It does.
So I also wanted, I mean, not to cut you off, but this is a key piece, because we want to do things, but we don't know funding wise. Okay. And I'll say this, a lot of times we don't know what we're capable of doing because nobody's giving us access to those level of conversations, especially financial. And a lot of new investors will go to hard money lenders. Nothing wrong with that. But I feel like when you're getting further into this industry, you need to understand what the costs associated to doing business at this level, at this price point, at this price, with this lender will cost you. Because that makes you a savvy investor. If you're savvy, you're no longer going to say, I'm going to take 10 or 15%, because that 10 or 15% on a deal with private money will affect your bottom line. But when you take profits from whether your real estate business, whether you got money under the table, under your mattress, you scale that to make it beneficial to you. So your first deal, you're probably going to take a hit of high interest rate because you don't know. But maybe a second, third, or fourth, please stop doing that because you're not a savvy investor. You just want to buy a house, flip it, and get $10,000 off of it. I want to buy a house, flip it, I want to make $100,000 off of it. And the only way I'm going to do that is I'm borrowing money cheap. I'm borrowing money at 4%. I might have to put 30 or 20% down, but you got to look at it at the end result. Don't look at it as I'm going to be out $20,000 or $40,000. I'm okay with that because I know I'm borrowing money at 4%. And the way to get those good rates is you guys have to tap into your community banks. Because the money that they're giving for commercial loans, and now you, of course, it can't be your first rodeo. And if it isn't, lean on somebody that you know, like, and trust who isn't their first rodeo, because they'll give them that investment opportunity. They'll give them that funding opportunity. But if going to a hard money lender is, you have to, I get it, you have to. But the goal of wealth is to take the money that you receive for as profit, reinvest it back into paying debt off and reinvest it back into bringing less money to the table, bringing more money to the table, which will allow you to borrow money at a cheap rate. So if you're not a novice in this, you should be borrowing money at 4.25% or 5%. Because we look at it as, I don't care, I'm gonna get out of it this quick, but sometimes you don't. And you don't want to take a 10% interest rate when you know your credit and your money that you have set aside is going to make you more money because you don't have to, your profits aren't shaped down because of you're paying more in monthly payments because they can kill the deal. They can really kill the deal. So if you have extra money sitting aside, I know a lot of us scared, they don't want to see that checking account. I know Lalita can tell you, India's account gets below a certain amount, it's a problem. And it is. So if you got money just sitting around, if you're not going to use it, don't use it to buy all the fancy things. Use it to invest back in real estate. Because as long as your money is working for you, everything else will work for you.
How did you find those community banks? I mean, I hear you say that, but a lot of us, we don't have another path. So that's why we end up with the hard money lenders. And then once you start down that journey, I made 20,000, I made 30,000 on this deal. I can always see that. So it's easy to go back to that hard money lender. But how did you get out of that world and realize that there was better money out there?
I got out of that world by being with people who are fluent in finances, fluent in their business. So I would say People's Bank is a great bank. We see People's Bank already like this little, but really, there's a whole lot of opportunity in People's Bank. And not only that, they do a lot for the community. But we don't know that because all we see are big banks like your Bank of America, M&T, but a lot of times they won't take a chance on it. And the guidelines are just so stiff, they're looking for that easy deal. And sometimes these deals aren't easy. So like your People's Bank, like the small banks that you see, they're the people that have hedge funds that are funding these banks that, will take opportunities on investors. And the guidelines may not be as hard, but you got to understand the deal too, because it's not going to be like a hard money deal. The way they scale it, they might only scale where they're only giving you 80% of the purchase price, especially on land. Nobody's going to fund you 100% on land, period. Because you can't pick it up. It's just there. They can't do anything with it. So for me, I got into conversations with people who no longer wanted to use hard money lenders and were very smart with their finances and, going out and getting those line of credits. Even if your line of credit is only $250,000, when you start forming relationships with banks where you're paying on time, your line of credit can go up to $1 million. Just on the buy and hold side, the construction world is totally different. That money is different from your buy and hold. And I think creating those relationships and recycling your money at these community banks is key.
So I want to jump back to the relationship side, right? And then let's walk back through a project that you're going through. So you said something earlier that you want to have 2 or 3 different contractors, 2 or 3 different things. So in the very beginning, you said your surveyor and excavator. Are you working with 2 or 3 different companies for that? And how did you find and establish those relationships?
So again, I established those relationships with other developers. It's like we have this small group where we just share information. And we're not competing with anybody. We just want everybody to win. We just want to break the barriers. So, some architects, for instance, we have an architect that's sick. We don't know if he's going to be here forever. So you need another one, you know? So I would just say have 2 or 3 people, because some people either are too expensive and you can't meet their demand for price, or some people just want to get out the industry. And you're starting to see a lot of tradesmen get out the industry as far as in the new construction world, because they want to go in the service world, because they make more money on service calls than in the new construction world, because they give me a flat fee and they're responsible for everything, even if they miss something. They can't send me a bill every time because I've already paid you. This is what you said the job was gonna cost. So have 2 or 3, maybe 4. Have a bunch of people.
And going into that forbidden topic of construction, right? Nobody ever wants to give their crew away. You partner with other developers. You guys sharing the same contractors too?
We share the same contractors sometimes, or I may have people that I like. You know, we do share. We share when we feel like some people are falling off. We cut the fat. You know, we like, oh, and a lot of people getting cocky right now. You know, it's like, okay, you just picked up 2 bags of trash. You want to charge me $300, but don't forget when the mood of what's happening now is over, they're gonna be calling back to you. Now they're gonna charge you $100 for trash. But by that time, I went to Joe, and Joe's been consistent with his price. So you guys, you know, I don't mean to say you guys, but everybody has to look at, you know, trend your contractors. Because they see what you're making or possibly want to make and see what the market, and then they want to upcharge you. And those are the people I don't want to be in relationships with. You know, I want you to come to my house and do my stuff for free because I done gave you $100,000 in business. Another thing for an investor is, I believe, is that have a business credit card that's going to give you 3% back on your purchases. You know, I'm saying that because if I'm spending $1 million a year on everything, use your credit card for everything that's giving you a return. Because while I'm paying the debt back, because if I'm putting out the money, I have the money coming from the bank that's going to, you know, put the money back in my account to pay off this debt. I'm making 3% back on my money. So that's your 4% that you was being charged. I'm making 3% back. And then at the end of the year, I got $15,000 of free money that I made because I used a card that was giving me 3% back. What could you do with an extra $15,000? That all you had to do was swipe a card.
I was using the tax money.
Right.
Yeah.
Go on a vacation or something, or pay some debt back.
Pay some taxes first.
Right, or pay your taxes. You know, that's your tax bill right
Do
there.
that, yeah. Let's get that covered. You know, I have questions for days. She knows we'll sit here and talk forever. But this is for you guys. So what questions do you have for India as we're sitting here talking about the development?
It's one of the credit cards you recommend.
Bank of America has a credit card for business owners. They just, they got a couple variety of options. Definitely get that. Because I bought a computer with my 1 month because I had some money in that 3% return. That's how you look at wealth. What am I giving to get? What am I giving up to get? What I'm giving up is the fact I'm using my credit card, you know, but what I'm getting back is that 3% that I could go buy an Apple computer with. Or maybe buy a Gucci bag. That's not my thing, but I'm just saying.
Navy Federal.
I don't know too much about Navy Federal's new construction side. Now, let's be clear.
Just the business side.
The business side, I've never used them. I've always used, I had got tons of different banks that Bank of America, M&T, People's, of course, Harbor Bank. But keep in mind, a lot of these banks, as much as they say they're on red line, they red line. Because some banks don't have the disposability of money where they can lend in certain areas. So they ain't go in front of a board and decide if they're gonna lend you money.
Well, we'll talk about this for a little bit because for those who haven't been in the bank to have that conversation, but just like, all right, I want to go in. What's that conversation sound like? What are you going in? Who are you talking to? What are you asking?
So in the commercial world, in the new construction world, you're talking to the senior VP of commercial lending. So commercial lending is new construction. Commercial lending is, you know, buying and holding. So you're speaking to the VP of commercial lending.
So now I get in front of them. I got this great idea because I saw this piece of land that's in the neighborhood that I know. I want to go after it. What am I telling you?
Hey, they're gonna ask you first, they're gonna pull your credit, okay? But listen, commercial world is totally different. Credit isn't always the driver of the deal. In the commercial world, the deal has to make sense. Because of course, they're only gonna loan you a percentage, and you only pay money on what you spend, and they're only gonna front you your draw money if you complete the job. So there's a lot of control in certain areas. So I don't want you to ever think that my credit is bad, they're not going to do anything for me. Just give it a try, because your credit might be bad, but you got a lot of equity in the deal. And your credit might be bad, but I got a lot of cash. Okay, and then you gotta open an account there. So definitely don't be afraid of that component. I don't want you to think, because even if your taxes show where you're writing off everything, which I wouldn't recommend, the debt coverage is important to the bank. And I lost my train of thought. What was the rest of the question?
So I went in, I asked, my credit's all right, they pulled it. I have this great deal. And now I'm having a conversation with the VP. So they pulled my credit, they made me open an account. You know, I've showed them my business plan for it. Where is he taking me? What's gonna happen?
So they want to know what the asset is, and they're gonna want to know the budget. So that budget is knowing, of course, scalability of what it's gonna cost you to do this project. And then they're gonna come back and say, well, this is what I'm gonna loan you based off of what the bank or our appraisers are saying the house is worth. So it's simple, really. You gotta know what the cost is associated with the acquisition, but then you gotta know the cost associated with the renovation. The renovation costs are key to, and always make the numbers more, because you protect yourself, because if you come up short in your numbers, they're not gonna give you more money. They're not gonna front you. Hard money lenders will probably front you a deal, front you the money up front, but you also paying 16% of that. And there's no love and care and none of that stuff.
When you close on that hard money bill, we're not giving you any more money.
No. And then to top it off, you gotta, when you form the relationships, like for me, when I did my working on the second new construction, I know some friends that were using hard money lenders, and because they went past that year that was given to them for the loan, they had to pay $4,000 to restructure the loan. Guess what India had to pay? $500 just to prepare the docs, and they just waived everything else.
Do you recommend India? Do you recommend a person use their own money for their first project?
Absolutely not. And this is about wealth building, right? Because rich people don't use their own money, they use other people's money. And a lot of us miss this opportunity because we so caught on, there's a limiting belief that somebody in our history told us you gotta, pay everything off. When I'm dying, I'm gonna have probably some good debt laying out there, but I'm not gonna spend my capital if I got the cash if I can borrow money at 3%, why would I spend my money?
True.
And we gotta understand money. That's the problem in this whole investment world. We don't understand money. We think borrowing at 16% for forever is good. That's not good. When you really tracking your numbers, and I tell this to agents all the time, I'm gonna take the whole development key out of this. When I tell agents this all the time, are you tracking what you're spending? Because if I'm borrowing money at 16%, hello, I got the money and the draws come, and a lot of people live off their draw money, let's be honest here. It doesn't make sense. So if you have the money, keep your money. Use that money as a down payment, because you can probably buy 2 other properties. Because I'm borrowing money at 3 and 4%, even 5. I don't care if you borrow money at 6. It's better than 16.
Okay, thank you.
And then when you start using hard money lenders, they need to have a good, they need to give you something too. Because you're giving them, if you're tracking how much you're giving these people, then they got to arc into what you're doing, whether it's on a community level, on a personal level. Because guess what? It's 100 other ones out there. But it also comes with knowledge and really stretching your thought process and really having a good relationship with money. And a lot of us don't, because all we see is the money. And then when we get these big draws into our account, we like, oh my God, where we going? I'm paying for everybody in this row. But then when the costs start going up to 30 and 40% and things getting a little squirrely, you like with your head down trying to figure out how to get this money back. So no, Tia, keep your money.
I am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna call you later.
Okay.
Is there another question in the chat?
Hi, this is Ashley.
Hello, Ashley. Ashley, you're cutting in and out on us.
Sherry from Atlanta has some Savannah. Hey, Sherry.
Hey, India, I was trying to catch up to you last week, but I see you didn't come down to Orlando, our neck of the woods.
Listen,
I got on her. I got on her.
We were hunting for you. Trust me when I say that. But got a question for you. So right now, from what I hear, the big hype is everybody want to do these multi-family homes. My money doesn't run long like that. In your opinion, as far as building is concerned, last year we picked up a bunch of land. We are around military areas. What would your thoughts be as far as building quads? And have you built a quad before, or how hard do you think that will be? And just in general, what are your thoughts on that versus a single family home?
I'm not familiar with the quads, but I could just talk from a business standpoint. Like, is there, like, when you're buying a bunch of land, there's a due diligence period, as well as there's a feasibility study that should be done. I'm not sure if you guys are even at that point, or just an area study. Do you feel like that it's needed there in that area?
Yes.
Okay, and those are the people in your world and outside of your world are telling you, we need this. And then the question is why?
Well, where we are, there's over 18,000 soldiers. We're the second or third largest military base here. The issue that we're having is that the only people that can build are the good old boys. I'm in a redneck area, Savannah, Georgia, point blank period. This is not Atlanta. So there's only 2 or 3 families that can really build down here. So we're like, how do we do this without including them in on our projects? I don't think you guys have that there, in the DC, Maryland area. But that's what we're running into. We own land, but we can't build.
So now you're gonna have to bring some outside resources in.
We'll get with you on that.
What'd you say? I couldn't hear you.
We will get with you on that.
Because now it's not even about the land. It's about the elbowing in.
Correct, and that's where that networking comes in, of
Right.
who you have to have that conversation with. And sometimes it may take a couple of different resources to make that connection where you have the freedom to do what you want on your own land.
And then for me, how passionate are you? How purposeful are you really to do this? And then what's your time frame? Because this might take you 5 years. Because now you got to push through the politics. And then you got to find the people that can help you push through the politics. And then you probably got to raise a lot of hell. And then you got to figure out, who are those people you can raise hell with to get what you want. So is it purposeful for you? You don't have to answer this. Is this purposeful for you, or is it financially driven? Because there's 2 different things here. And then you got to figure out how you're going to manage that and really, reverse engineer this whole thing that you're trying to create.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Someone in the chat that put their question.
What's your question?
Hello, can you all hear me?
No.
You're coming over broke.
Can you
You
text
might need to type, yeah, you might need to type your question.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, you might type your question.
Okay.
So just to piggyback on what Sherry was saying, and it's good to buy land if you can do it, but just make sure you're doing, of course, your studies and seeing what your challenges are. Because if somebody says, you gotta, and I tell people this, and this might be the next meeting for Monday, what's ego and what's purpose? Because the ego is to say, like Brandon said to me earlier, I have somebody that possibly has 80. Would you be interested? So I gotta go back to saying, what I'm interested in, my ego to say I'm developing.
It's muted, you guys.
So just make sure, like I was telling Sherry, it's good to own the land, but how purposeful are you with developing it far as on a community-driven level and a personal level? How important is that for you? Because development projects can take 10 years. And if you gotta decide if I'm gonna be a fee developer or I'm gonna be an equity developer, meaning I'm gonna invest my money into these projects to get a return over time, that's where the front foot fee comes in. Or am I gonna be a fee developer where I'm gonna get my $1 million off the top? And I see y'all later. So I don't charge a front foot, but a lot of bigger builders will do the front foot, and that's the charge that they are charged by the county to bring water and sewer to the property. It's just like extra money that they can, discretionary money that they can make every month for the next 20, 30, or 40 years. Somebody has a question.
Yeah, I think she put it in.
You got any
Yeah,
questions?
I'm sorry, say that again, India, about the water part, about bringing in water.
So I know, I don't know how it is in Savannah, but in here in Maryland, there's a front foot fee. So a lot of builders will charge the consumer that fee to bring water and sewer to the property during the development stage. Like if I'm building a home, like well and septic, for instance, I gotta bring that to the home. If I'm tapping into the city system, it might cost me $100,000 to do that. And I might be off by like 2 feet, but I still don't have water and sewer. So the front foot fee is something that the builder will charge. It might be $40 a month, $100 a month, and I can charge that for 40 years and get my retirement. And especially if I got 10,000 homes, that's a lot of money. So that's just extra wealth. I'm not gonna say extra money, it's extra wealth, because it's something that's supposed to come every month.
I think I have clarification to respond that I understand the question right. I think what she's asking is, the question is breaking up is 9% too much for an interest rate for lending for your first time?
I think that's a good, I think it's good for a private lender, because some private lenders, they'll loan on anything, but they're gonna make you pay. And sometimes you gotta put the legwork in. Like I'd rather, understand 3 more documents than have to pay you 15%. Or go to another. So yes, 9% is not bad at all. I borrow money at 9%. I borrow money at 16%. But I don't do that anymore.
So the question I have, and it's a little bit more.
What's your question?
A little bit more in depth, but it's something that I think is, we start playing in different worlds and different spaces. And Cherry kind of touched base on this, but it's the politics of it. And I know one of the areas that you had a development in, we face it and we deal with it, but it is those connections that we have that allow us to persevere and push through. How are you establishing those connections to know who I can have be in my corner, who can actually fight and help me break ground in an area that traditionally we're not supposed to be? Or let me rephrase that, because no, we're supposed to be in it,
Right.
but they've historically
common.
not allowed us to play in those
It's not
spaces.
common.
Right.
Of course, you gotta be nice to the neighbors.
Yeah.
Okay. If somebody mess up, you'll fix it. And then you gotta have a real good connection with the county. And you gotta be able to get your stuff pushed through when nobody else can. And that comes with the relationship building. Because you might have some asshole builders that come in there. And I curse, so please forgive me. Don't clutch your pearls. But you might have some asshole developers come in there, but you got a Danny who built 3 homes, but Danny is sweet as pie. And they gonna make sure your permit and your plans get approved before Ryan home. So you gotta just be good to people, even the people in the communities that, I'm not gonna say they don't want you to be there, but it's like new for them. They've been living here for 30 years. They've never seen a new home come up when their home was built in 1950. It's the best house on the block, right? They don't want that. They want all the houses to look alike. But unfortunately, this is a free world. So we get to pick and choose what the house is gonna look like. So just building those strong relationships with the, just being nice. And you're not always gonna be nice, but you get your point across, and you could be demanding without being demeaning. And I just think that's cute.
Say that again. Yeah, I mean, dropped another gem. Go ahead and paraphrase that again.
You can be demanding without being demeaning.
My husband that all the time. So, it's called like nice nasty. You can get it out without being actually nasty to the
Right.
person. but you get your point across in a nice way.
Because whether you're a man and a woman or woman in this industry, you can't be suckered. And people gotta know what you stand for. They gotta know that, hey, you gotta clean up this construct. I hate a dirty construction site. But you gotta put those demands back on people, just like the demands are put back on you. So you can be you can be demanding without being demanding.
How hard was it to get your builder's license?
That's not hard. You just go online, you apply for it, you pay the money. That's how life is, right? I can get my real estate license, pay the money. It's like $800, but then it's a cost with it. Because you don't want to have a license and not recoup that money, because I have the license. I'm not a licensed contractor. It's a difference. I don't probably have a desire to be a licensed contractor because I got a bunch of subs, and I can be my own licensed contractor because I'm the builder. But the thing is that, what was the question? I'm sorry. I know your question, but I just forgot. But the fees associated with everything is up by 30%. So my insurance, my general liability went from $1,500 to $2,000. And then if I try to do a payment plan for it, they want 3% more. And when you go back to understand the money, I'm not giving you 3% more because I'm not getting 3% back. So.
Along those lines, someone asked, sounds like the first step is to get your builder's license. Is it then to obtain financing and then build your team?
No, you need to build the team first. The money gonna come. I could probably borrow money from all of y'all in here, right?
I got a dollar.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna get your dollar back. That's it. But no, just you want to start looking for that team. The money is available. It's how much you willing to spend to get the money. What you willing to give up to get.
So I bought my first piece of land. Well, actually I have two. I have one in Florida and I bought one like down the block from where I am now. And I'm trying, that's why I'm most of them. Not because I want to see you. Hi, India.
Hey, girl.
And I was like, that's my girl. She out there doing it. I want to hear how you do it. Because I want to go in that direction. So my free time has been freed up a lot because this was I was her chauffeur.
Right.
So now she's driving, she had a car, and then my other daughter, she's got her permit yesterday, so I'm freed up and I want to do a lot more things that I wasn't able to do before. So I have this piece of land, I have it surveyed and everything, and I want to start that track and
Okay.
so
And then when you buying land, see, why am I buying this? Is there a vision there?
it is a vision.
Okay.
There's a-
Now you probably need some integrators in there to help you put the vision down on that paper and them plans. Because you can get plans off a line, but they're not always accurate.
I have an architect that was doing my addition to my house. So he was really good in doing the addition, the drawing, I haven't done additions like that, but I'm thinking about using him as well. And he's
Right.
very reasonable on the price also.
Oh, good. Because when you buy land, if you can't afford to sit on it for a while, then you really got to have a plan for it because there's a cost. So it's a tax record and taxes associated with it. And then, all the upkeep and things of that nature. So, yeah, and then push yourself to know how to read plans and get somebody to teach you. I know, but I'm still learning. Because if you can't be somewhere, I can look at the plans and tell you it's 6 feet from the plan. I don't got to run there and do the measurements. It's 6 feet, especially if I'm picking out tile. So, and then have a good tile person that know how to read plans. So.
I know we're coming up on the hour, but.
We are on the hour.
Right.
It's gonna cost you now.
Right. But now here's a question. I think we can leave off on this one, but you were starting to break down into it. But you said first step is to build your team. Who exactly is that? What is the team that I need to have when I see that land and I want to go after it?
So for anybody, you need a project manager if you don't have the time to do it. But not even if you got the time, you need somebody that knows how to get the project up. You need a project manager, you need an excavator company, you need a foundation company, somebody that can do the foundation work, a plumber that can do the groundwork, waterproofing company, sprinkler company, of course, tile and framing and insulation. And that, and everything else that come along with HVAC. Because again, some HVAC people don't know how to do new construction. It's a science to this. Because while one company can just follow, or the people that we know, maybe Mark or Mike, he can follow existing work. New HVAC has to create their own work. And it gotta be perfect, because you know, we go in some of these houses, it's hot as hell upstairs and it's cold down. And why? Because it's undersized and it's not sketched out properly. So, and a landscaper. And you need a hauler. You need somebody to haul, because guess what? A lot of these and I hate dirty work sites, but they just gonna do it, have that little bag, and that bag is there with food and everything else. I know this is little, but it's important, because I can see better when the canvas is clear. So you need a hauler, and they haul all that trash away. So.
Makes sense. Well, one, thank you.
You're welcome.
A lot of information and a lot of insight. But two, I know if anybody's had a conversation with you, then they want to keep talking to you over and over again. So how do we get in contact with you?
Don't call me.
What's the
Don't call me.
Yeah.
You know, follow me on social media, India Whitlock. I'm not that important, but India Whitlock on social media, Madison Mason Homes. And you can find my email is india@madisonmasonhomes.com, and from there you get my phone number. Well, you can Google me. I mean, everybody's information is online, but yeah.
Are we that big now? You can Google me?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
You are too.
I'm
So
sorry.
yeah, my phone number is in my email. So you give me something, I give you something back. It's about data for me.
Well,
Can I just say something?
absolutely.
Who is that? Oh, Ebony.
Hey, India.
Hi.
I just wanted to thank you for the information and your time today. I do follow you on social media. You know, you are very inspirational for women in the industry. And I did follow and see the first new build that you did, and it was very beautiful from start to finish. I mean, everything, interior, the just the decorating, the just everything. I started from like groundbreaking on through the project, and I think that you definitely have a gift, and keep pushing and keep inspiring and keep educating, because you're very good at what you do, and your motivational Mondays are helpful. I see you on Mondays giving your jewels. So sometimes you don't realize how many people you inspire, but you definitely are a great agent and a great lady builder. So.
Oh, Ebony, you gonna make me cry up in here under these stupid glasses.
Yeah, I need to schedule one-on-one. I need to pay you for some mentorship time. So I'm definitely looking into getting into development myself. So you're like one of the people that I keep in mind when I think about giving up. I'm like, we can do this. This is, men are always looked upon as construction workers and things like that, but more women are getting into development, and I think we definitely have the gift that and the skill set that it needs that to progress. So, and you're a prime example of that. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And I was gonna challenge something you said.
Where are the cocktails?
You said one thing that I gotta disagree with you on. You said you're not that important. And just from Ebony's words alone, I think you see how valuable you are to the women in the community, our market center, the people you developed before, and your community.
Oh, thank
So with
you.
that, thank you. And I thank each one of you for you guys attending. If you have any questions, India gave her information and can't wait to connect with you guys next time. Thank you.